I mean, I could choose.
Go ahead. I'd rather you do it.
No, you do it.
Me?
Hey friends, Dawson here. I have watched 13 hours of Tom Hanks that you don't have to. And today we're covering his objective personality type because 1, I'm just surprised that he hasn't been covered in depth. And 2, how is anyone supposed to type this guy? Like, I was typing someone super mopey, and so I jumped out to type Tom Hanks, and boy was he way different than I thought he was gonna be. So let's break some stereotypes today, shall we? Alright, so you know Tom Hanks from literally every single movie in existence, but other than that, I just remember like the week before we were all sent home, everyone in my college class was just going, "Oh no, COVID got Tom Hanks, don't take America's sweetheart from us," and that was the last I ever heard of Tom Hanks, so I mean he's still alive, you know, but I don't know what he's doing nowadays. So disclaimer, some context for this typing is, OMG, good luck. If Matthew McConaughey's typing level difficulty was like a 5 out of 10, then Tom Hanks is at least an 8. Because some of his parts you're going to be able to see very clearly. Whereas some of his other parts, OI versus OE, intuition versus sensing, literally any of his animals, is he an introvert? Is he an extrovert? I don't know, I'm grasping at straws here. Like, oh my gosh. So this is one that you're going to want to check your biases at the door and tread carefully. Now, according to the greater MBTI community, it's almost unanimous that everyone types Tom Hanks as some sort of ENTP. And, you know, I can kind of see that. He bears some resemblance to our friend Gare Bear over here. And jumping over to some visual biases here, I can't help but notice that he sort of reminds me of his good friend Tim Allen. Maybe a similar like head shape, they have that giant TI forehead, they seem to get along pretty well, so maybe they have some similar parts in common. And as well, I can't help but notice that Tom Hanks has played Mr. Rogers in a movie, and we have typed Mr. Rogers as TISI, an INTP jumper, so maybe there's some similar parts involved. So that's just my visual bias going into this. But let's start with the easy stuff first. Is this going to be thinking or feeling? Now let's keep it simple. Can Tom Hanks talk about his process?
Okay, so you got your Kelsen's order, and you're writing these stories. What is your process? How you doing this? Time of day, how long you doing it?
Well, this is very specific because when they said, would you like to do a collection of short stories? I said, well, how many would that be? And they said, we'd need about 15. And I thought, well, I could come up with 9 right off the bat. With the one I wrote, that's 10. Yeah, I can come up. Yeah, I think I can dream a little bit and come up with some more. Mm-hmm. And so I started with a theme, and oftentimes also started with a title, or a last line, or a first line, or some phrase like 3 exhausting weeks. That's all I needed. I knew what was going on from there. And then I wrote them probably linearly, meaning I started one and did not stop until I was in the long process of satisfied with it. Okay. I maybe would go back and revisit them again, but more or less I just kept going at it until I felt as though they had the beginning and the middle and an end that I wanted.
Yes. So you can see that he can very easily, off the top of his head, tell you how he does the work. He can tell you his process. Now, what does that mean? Does that mean that he's thinking over feeling? Does that mean that he's TI somewhere? I don't really know just yet. So we need to keep watching. So now let's compare how he works with other actors and directors.
Well, it's funny. I actually talked to your friend Ron Howard this week, and I asked him, so are you surprised that Hanks produced this great work of fiction? And he said, no, he's always approached the work like a writer. Whether it's...
Well, that means I'm the cranky actor who kicks the shit out of everybody in those early productions.
Well,
why am I doing that? That doesn't make any sense. Ron, this movie has no logic. You can't just have that happen. I don't get to walk in and pretend like I don't know what's going on. These guys were trained to fly to the moon, guys. They're not surprised by this. You know, it's like Noah says, boy, that's a really big rocket. That's right, boys, and we're taking it to the moon. Those guys know how big the rocket is. They know that. So yeah, but Ron is one of the type of filmmakers that actually says he does the worst thing a director can do to his cast. He says, what do you think? You know, so you got the script? Yeah. Well, what do you think? Well, I think you should have more scenes with me in them.
Well, that doesn't make any sense, and there's no logic to it. And he's arguing, and he's combative, and he's punking on Ron Howard over here. Now, I don't remember Ron Howard's type. I'm sure it's something stupid and unimportant, but we know Ron Howard to have TE in there somewhere. And so he is gathering in the tribe's input and their opinions on how to make the thing work to help to build the movie. So he's going, whoa, what do you think? And what do you think? And what do you think? And he's gathering in their input. But Tom Hanks is just slapping that notion in the face. He's like, every actor's like super opinionated with their ideas, and they're going, well, here's what I think you should do. So Tom is calling BS over here. So he might not see the work the same way that Ron does. Anyways, roll another clip.
The alliance that exists between filmmaker and actor is one, the actor can hold them hostage if they want to, but the other thing is there is a yes and a no to what the guidance is. I mean, I like to think I'm kind of like this, all right, I'm in the corral and you're going to have to rope me and break me and saddle me and turn me into something that can ride. I like to show up on time. I like to know the text, and I like to have a million ideas in my head. That doesn't mean that all those ideas are great. And it needs somebody just to say, I like that, don't do that. Because I think shot by shot, the actor's job is to provide the motivation that the character has and that is the same as the director wants. And that doesn't always work.
My opinions, my ideas, and I have to be corralled and broken or else I'm just going to go off on my own way. So Tom Hanks is seeing that the actor does all the work, does the job, has all the ideas, but it depends on what the director wants. And so Tom Hanks is communicating in personal ideas, and he is seeing the outside world as communicating in values. So this is going to be TI and FE. And we happen to be seeing quite a bit of thinker talk here. So while we are here with our lovely ESFJ host, let's get a cross-check for some demon feels.
You're stranded on a deserted island. I wrote all these.
Yes. Okay.
Okay.
Well,
Sorry,
what is it? We're on the Savannah Channel. And it's like movies with Savannah Guthrie.
You're stranded on a deserted island.
Yes, I am. Yeah.
Obviously, Wilson is there. Mm-hmm. Which character that you've played would you want with you? This is a long way.
Oh, man.
This is a long way of asking
yeah,
who's your favorite character you've ever played.
All right.
I thought it was cool.
Well, the guy was there, Chuck Noland. He was there. So I'm okay. So I have to choose from one of these guys?
Who do you love? What character do you just love? Like you would want to spend forever with?
Oh, my.
You're the one getting a Lifetime Achievement Award.
Yeah, I know, but okay, all right. How about would you want somebody incredibly pragmatic or somebody incredibly
Who do you love?
Divert?
I mean, I could choose.
Go ahead. I'd rather you do it.
No, you do it.
Me? Sully. He can fix anything. How about that?
Yeah. Okay.
Very pragmatic. He probably knows everything. That deep voice would drive you nuts after a while. But how about him?
Okay, I'll take him.
Well, who do you love? Malfunction over here. The guy's got smoke coming out of his ears. Well, I mean, you probably want someone pragmatic who could fix anything. Gee, thanks, Tom. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you T.I. Now, this next clip here, he's going to be talking about typewriters because he happens to collect a lot of them. And now, based on the math, we should be able to predict that he's going to be able to explain to you how they work, how they function. And he's going to be leaving a void of which one's valuable, which one's my favorite, which one is popular among the tribe. And instead, he's going to be telling you how the machine works. So the question becomes, is he telling you what works in the sensory, or is he giving you an understanding and an overview of how it works? Really, is Tom Hanks speaking in ST or in NT lingo?
What's the deal with the typewriters? Tell me about the typewriters. That's the one common thread in all of the stories is that at some point, typewriters appear.
There is a story in here that's called These Are the Meditations of My Heart, which is almost verbatim how I got my first real typewriter.
Wow.
The guy, I had a crappy typewriter that needed serviced, and the guy wouldn't touch it because he says, this is a toy. It's a piece of junk. It's made out of plastic. It's not a machine. It's a toy. And he pointed to all the typewriters he had up on his wall and said, these are machines. Machines! It's like, wow.
He doesn't want your money.
Yeah. There's something about the permanence of the document that you create, which is as unique as your own fingerprints. Mm-hmm. You even if you retyped it would not be the same exact document.
Sure.
It has the letters on a true typewriter, the hammers, shape a letter over an ink ribbon that stamps that letter into the fibers of the paper, not onto the top of the paper. It dyes the fiber of the paper. The same way an oil or gouache will enter into the canvas of a painting, and it will stay there forever. So if you piece together a perfect phrase or a great paragraph, or you somehow to explain the wonder of your child, or somehow land on the perfect words of love to the partner that you've had all your life or want to have all your life, you have created a work of art that is singular in and of itself. And if whoever receives that, if they just put it in a shoebox and keep it out of sunlight and don't let the house burn down, that document will last as long as the gargoyles of Notre Dame. There's this permanent something that is carved into stone, and I think that's just kind of cool.
Yeah.
I think you end up you can leave a string of these almost like with your fingerprints with your DNA on them, based on how hard you press down
Right.
on the keys and how fresh the ribbon was and what the quality of your paper was. That's one aspect of it. The other aspect of it is the pleasing sense of timbre and cadence and tempo. I love writing on a typewriter because as you're thinking, you know what you're surrounded by? Silence. And when you have it and you're actually creating, you hear a definitive kind of like drum beat of the quality of your own thinking. Chuk 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 bang chuk 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 ding chunk 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 chunk, and that becomes this kind of like rhythmic jungle drum that is in direct sync with your brain.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of like an interpretive dance that your physiology experiences.
Okay, great. So he told us all about how the typewriters work. Isn't that neat? But why does it matter? Why does having a permanent document in a shoebox matter at all? I don't know, because he never told us. And this is a sensor conversation. Not only that, this is an SI conversation. He's not showing you the spectrum of typewriters, and he's not comparing them. Which one's better, which one's faster, which one's smoother, which one's trendier, which one's more popular. Instead, it is detail by detail. This one specific personal permanent document with your own personal permanent fingerprints to hide in a shoebox forever. Like, why are we getting so personal with the sensory here? Like, this is kind of weird. Like, okay, if you say so. Anyways, let me grab you another random, non-personal example for evidence.
Here's something goofy. I walked onto the set one day, and it was from a period from, early 1960s or something like that. And the TV was an old General Electric TV that was the same model we had when Apollo 8 flew around the moon. This was the TV. We had this old black and white thing with General Electric. It had this big channel changing knob on the side. It was like that. And it was the same maple cabinet. It wasn't big. It was just not much, it was on legs and it had the cloth speakers, it said General Electric and thing like that. And I immediately took a picture of it and I sent it to my siblings. And I said, "You recognize this?" And they all said, "That's a TV from the Johnson house,"
The sensor is highly specific and personal. This one TV with the knob and the maple, like, whatever. A TV is a TV. Like, I couldn't tell you about nothing about the things that I have. Like, this is like a Shure M7 USB something. You know what I'm saying? Like, heck yeah. Anywho, when Tom Holland was talking about typewriters, I was noticing some weird spikes, and I don't know if it was about the typewriter. So, is Tom Cruiser an observer or a decider? Is he afraid of things, or is he afraid of people? What does Tom Hanks really care about?
We understand that, but that's the way we're promoting the
Good
movie.
gosh.
So it's like you have all this kind of pressure on you, and nobody prepares you for the soul-sucking, self-loathing experience you will have of trying to talk about your movie and yourself to an endless parade of people who don't care what you have to say for 6 minutes
Bring
a
it,
pop.
bring it.
They don't care.
Right.
They don't care. A handful will. And when you see them like Patrick Stoner from Philadelphia. When you see him, you love him because he loves movies and he's going to ask you some certain questions. But all the rest of it is like, you have done 829 6-minute interviews and you're going to have a snack for 10 minutes and then you're going to come right back and do some others. And you've got somebody who has flown in and he knows everybody there and he doesn't have a cigarette, but he might as well.
Sure.
And it's like, so here we are, we're talking to Tom Hanks about his new movie. So Tom, tell us about your new movie. And you've been doing it for 9 days in a row. Mm-hmm. This is your 14th city.
Sure.
You've been yelled at and told what to say every minute of the day. You've been stuffed into cars and taken off and getting your photo taken and have people scream at you. And you can't even string together words with your lips anymore. It's like you think you're talking and you're out of sync with what you're actually saying. And a guy who's number 129, by this is going to go on, it's going to be seen by everybody who watches the TV monitors at the gas station. Hello, here I am, an eye on Hollywood for Union 76 TV. And you're going to be that big. And he says, so, tell us about your new film. So you can just see everybody is just kind of like going like this. Oh, hey, there's Tom Hanks. And he's talking to me from the gas station right there. So this is one of the outlets that they had to say. And you're going to have to explain something about, well, what it really is we're trying to ask the question of what's more important, science or God. And none of it is even remotely connected to what you did, but you're plugged into the process like an ongoing ongoing campaign.
So a pattern that I'm starting to see is that some of the TI guys at my work or some of the clients that I've had, they'll go from my ideas, my work, I'm a good worker, if they would only listen to my ideas, and then they'll swing to, well, they don't even care, and I don't want to work for a company that doesn't care. And that just never really made sense to me because I'm not tracking who cares and who doesn't. Like I could probably tell you, but it's not something that I'm really focusing on. Because really, as long as I care, that's what matters. I don't really care if no one else cares, but as long as I care about the job, as long as I'm getting what I want out of the situation, I'm fine. So I don't really care that no one else cares. And looking at Tom Hanks, who is the target here? Is it the missing information and the pathways and the hidden permanent document that's hidden in a shoebox somewhere? Not quite. But it's the guy with the cigarette. It's the guys at the gas station watching. It's the pressure from the outside world of all the people who don't care. This is what is serious for Tom Hanks. So if Tom Hanks is a decider, that automatically makes him an IP. So am I hearing the IP story?
Because what can I rely on? At the end of the day, I can only rely on what I can fit in either my emotional suitcase, an actual suitcase, or the back of my car. And that lingers for a very long time. So I think the healthy aspect of it has been a great aid to me, as well as the tendency to want to be isolated, to not need anybody, put it that way, to not want anybody, because that's just what I learned. Life is easier if you don't need anybody, and it can be a lot easier if you want nothing more than what's in the back of the car. But that can be a solitary life, and a lot of times being solitary can be confused with being lonely, and being lonely can lead to anger and resentments and stuff that you got to work through. And okay, at the 68, a lot of those years have been dealing with the latter and enjoying the former at the same time.
I'll just do it on my own. I don't need the tribe. And you see that he goes into kind of a weird state, but then you just end up being so lonely. Them poor IPs. Like, why is this so real? Now, I've got him narrowed down to TI and SI. So, is Tom Hanks an introvert or is he an extrovert? I mean, come on, the guy's talking so much, he's energetic, he's loud, he's controlling the stage. Like, hats off to Tom Hanks because he totally has me duped. Like, there's no way. The guy is an extrovert, obviously. Like, he's just too out there to not be. But at the same time, I can't catch any of his animals. I haven't seen anything. So, in this instant, like, okay, Tom Hanks, you win. I wave the white flag of surrender, okay? But let's not give up just yet. Let's see what we can catch. So I caught him in an interview, and we happen to know the interviewer's type as being a sleep last ISTP, a true extrovert. So how does Tom Hanks compare?
But no, the people that we hang out with is all about the hang. This is what show business is it not? More than anything else, a great hang at its best.
Yeah.
It's a fabulous hang.
I never understand when someone's off in their trailer, if there's people to hang with on the set. I mean, if you need some time, sure.
Oh, yeah. Or if you're like just taking a nap, which happens more and more as the years go by. And a lusty sandwich is a good thing to enjoy every now and again.
Sure.
And if you know what I mean by lusty sandwich.
I think I do.
I literally mean a good sandwich that is brought to you. And you eat before lunch.
Yeah.
But no, the hang of show business is it. It's the lollygag.
I think I go from trailer to trailer, knocking on the door and saying, do you want to? No? Okay. Until I find someone.
The company thing that goes on. I now try to have my trailer door open and all the windows open because otherwise I feel like I'm in jail.
So the sleep last guy is going door to door, bugging the tribe for attention. Like, yeah, that's just not my life. Like, every 10 minutes at work, I have to do a lap around the entire building to see who I can talk to because I'm so dang needy. But Tom's hesitating. You might be taking a nap or eating a sandwich, some consume and some sleepy time here. So nothing definite from this clip, but you could say that maybe he's not a crazy sleep last idiot. Anyways, roll another one.
At this point, what are your weaknesses?
The same ones. They never. Do they ever change?
I don't think so.
I thought that a degree of procrastination.
Right.
Enthusiasm that starts on Monday but just disappears sometime Thursday morning. And it's like, what are you going to do today? I don't know. Answer some emails or something. I don't know. You know what I'm going to do today? I'm going to dodge every responsibility I can.
That's right.
That's it. That always comes down to it. You see other people doing stuff and they're always busy, and you think, I wish I was like that. Daddy loves me. You want to be, and you just can't get there sometimes. You know what it's like. You want to.
Yeah.
You just can't. You can't turn it on.
The energy wanes, he's dodging responsibilities. I wish I was busy, but I just can't turn it on. So maybe he's not as extroverted as I thought. He doesn't seem to have a hard time slowing down, like Jim Carrey, Robin Williams, Tony Robbins, Sylvester Stallone, all those crazy idiots. But instead, he has a harder time getting started and keeping it going. So Tom Hanks is a jumper INTP, and he's going to have all the same fears as a standard INTP, but he's not going to get as stuck in the vague woo-woo land, such as Harry Styles, Mark Zuckerberg, Jim Parsons, and the like. But instead, he's going to be taking you sensor by sensor throughout all the information. And he does happen to resemble many of his type. But what the heck? Everyone else of this type is so mopey and soft-spoken, and Tom Hanks isn't. So how is he one of these? And at the same time, how is Tom Hanks play last? So I'm trying to prove this here. How does this math add up? First, I can't prove any of his animals. I tried. He's playful, so therefore he's play. Okay, well that's not very objective. Well, what would make him play? Is Tom Hanks unresolved and not processed? Not from any of the moments that I've seen in the 13 hours that I've watched him. Anytime that he gets stunned by a weird question, he just pauses for a moment and then he'll just take you back to some of his same old stories. Oh, well, how do you think of your wife? How do you know that she was the one?
Maybe it's kind of like the same thing that happened when I was in school and in high school. And I said, this can be school. There was a thing with Rita where I just thought, wait, it could be like this. It could be just sit around.
Wait, are you just taking things back to the same old stories? And what I've noticed about the play last is that most of them are Lex Friedman level of mopey. But there are a few outliers, such as Ken Jeong, Jerry Seinfeld, Mr. Beast, Bobby Lee, and all these guys are very talkative and playful. Oh, but Ken Jeong is mopey off camera. And Mr. Beast, oh, well, he's crazy, obviously. Oh, but then he's taking naps and he's hiding away all throughout the day. And I've had clients and I've seen community members come in to get typed and they'll just spiel for an hour straight. And with my clients, I can't get a word in. I might ask them 2 questions, they'll ignore them both, go on with their diatribe, and then they'll just end the conversation. They're like, anyways, I'm done talking. Hey, wait a second, where's the extroverted ping back here? Where's the feedback from the outside world? What's going on here? And especially when you have these play lasts that have been doing their craft for decades, such as a Jeff Bezos or an Eric Weinstein or literally any of the tech guys, you could ask them any question and they're going to be super pre-processed. So the bottom line to all of this is, do you live with Tom Hanks? Are you following him all throughout the week? Yes, he comes out in all these interviews and is acting as super boisterous and loud and energetic and playful, but where is he the rest of the week? The math tells me that he's off in his trailer, taking a nap and eating a lusty sandwich. Oh yeah, so Tom DeLonge here hasn't been social typed, but the vibe that I'm getting from Hanks is that he really loves his craft.
I couldn't believe that you got paid to do that. I didn't know that was a thing. I thought, you think outside of, the big movie stars, I get it. Kirk Douglas and John Wayne and, Al Pacino, Robert De Niro, those guys are movie stars. I get that. Everybody else is kind of probably working for what? Car fare? And discovering that was a trade, a craft, a type of career that you could have. And then you find yourself doing it with real professionals at a place like the Great Lakes Shakespeare Festival in Cleveland. It ended up being something that it was so much fun that you do it for nothing. But it turns out it's a craft. You can go through a journeyman phase. You can be an apprentice. Then you get to hang up your shield and be one yourself. It was the greatest luck of the draw I've ever had. That something that you love so much can be the job that you do. They say the thing: do something you love and you never work a day in your life. That's me.
He was one of President Obama's most high-profile supporters and looked so at ease at the inauguration ceremony, many wondered if a political career was beckoning.
That this nation under God shall have a new birth of freedom.
You'll run eventually, won't you?
No way. Never in a million years.
Come on, it's the ultimate trifecta. Reagan, Schwarzenegger, Hanks.
See, here's the thing. Ronald Reagan, they stopped giving him jobs.
The craft and the job are serious. Reagan and Schwarzenegger are off running a scam over here. Who cares if Hollywood never hires them? They're moving past that. Oh, but they stopped getting jobs. And you see that he's seeing the phases of the career, which he has been in for almost 50 years now. So my best unofficial guess for Tom Hanks here is that he is a social type 3. Anywho, I'm so sick of Tom Hanks. Just stick him on a deserted island and let's call it good. Anyways, I hope that you enjoyed, and I'll catch you later.
I was thinking about you and Rita. I was lucky enough to see you and Rita interact, and it's just as we would all hope it would be.
Okay, all right.
And it's lovely. I mean, I'm not in your kitchen, but your affection seems so real. And
We dig each other, I must say. 30, we'll be 32 years in April. Everybody knows we've been married, so what are you going to do? Pretend you're not?
no, that is not a good answer. It's not
I'm
romantic.
well, you didn't even ask me a question.
Well, I know. I was in the middle. I was about
Okay, go
to.
ahead.
I said, "Why is she your one?
Oh,
What does she get about you?"
oh, dear Lord.